y'all.
Today we're going to be showing you how to make sauerkraut the old-fashioned way.
We've removed our outer layers of our cabbage. Now these are a little bit smaller heads, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and cut these in half, or you can quarter them if your cabbage is a little bigger. And then you're going to remove the heart or the core. Now you might want to set that aside. It's totally up to you. I'll show you why here in a minute. And then you just want to slice it. You can use a mandolin, however you want to do this, or just slicing it in about 1/4 inch slices here. All right, so now that you have your cabbage all shredded, all done and ready to go here, what are we going to do?
We're going to sprinkle 1 tablespoon of salt over the cabbage.
You don't want to use iodized salt. You just want to use a kosher salt, which we have here, or Redmond's real salt. That's a nice option. And we're just going to get that all down in the cabbage here. And it's typically, 1 tablespoon per head of cabbage, medium head of cabbage. That's a good rule of thumb to go by. Since ours was smaller, we went ahead and counted 2 small heads as 1. And we're just going to set this aside for how long, sweetheart?
15 minutes.
We're going to set this aside for 15 minutes and just let that salt start bringing out some of the moisture of the cabbage.
All right, while that's sitting, we're going to get some brine ready.
Yes, and so what we usually do is we just grab a canning jar or quart jar, and we're just going to get some water. I'm going to get it right out of our Berkey. You don't want chlorinated water. If that's all you have, if all you have is chlorinated water, you might want to set a jar out the night before and just let it sit on your counter, and the chlorine will dissipate. Okay, so he's good.
We're going to add 1 tablespoon of salt to this water. Right?
And I'm just going to mix it up here, get it all dissolved. Your brine, you might not need all of that, and that's okay. You can put it in the refrigerator and use it on some other fermented project that you might want to be doing. But while this is doing its thing for the 15 minutes, Isabella and I wanted to share with you, there's tons of fermenting options out there. They used to do it in a crock, isn't that right? And we still have crocks and whatnot, and if we had a lot of kraut to do, we probably would do that. We don't have a storage cellar, and so we don't have a place to put it. They would usually put it in a big old crock, put a lid on it, and they would just store it down their storage cellar where it stays cold, but it doesn't freeze in the winter, and it kind of stops the fermenting process. So when we're all finished and our sauerkraut is where it needs to be, then we'll put it in our fridge. So we have to have space for that, right? So we will usually use a half-gallon ball jar for it, or we'll use a gallon, and most often this is what we'll go with. We usually do a gallon of kraut, and it's so delicious, y'all. It's wonderful probiotics for your body. It's good for your gut health. So it's wonderful just to have on the side of your dinner, like you would a salad, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So she absolutely loves it. She will eat it as a snack. She likes it that much. So anyway, there's different things out there. We only have a few. One is this little gadget here, and you'll just fill him like halfway with water. And after you have your kraut in here and you put your lid on, and then it will emit gases through here, and but it won't let oxygen into your jar. So that's a wonderful one. We do love having, because once he's all done fermenting, then we just take his regular lid and put on there.
Yeah.
So that's an option for you. And then we have these little guys, which are wonderful because they fit all the jars pretty much that we have.
Yeah.
They're just silicone, and it has like a little nipple on the end here that will let gases out, but it doesn't let the oxygen back in. Yeah. And this will work with your regular canning lids. You just put it right on there. And it does everything for you. Yeah. Now, if you don't have any of those items, it's totally fine. You don't have to go buy any expensive equipment or anything like that. You can just use a regular band and lid. I don't have an extra lid here. You just put a regular band and lid on here, and then you will burp him every single day. I usually do it in the morning when I get up. I'll just, so this is on here. I'll just release this and kind of pull the little seal portion up, and just make sure that the gases get released. Yep. Then I put it back on, just, you know, ever so gently, and let him sit. So there's some options for you.
After you put your kraut in the jar, and after you put the brine on, you just put one of these weights on there. This one is a glass one, and then this one is like a little spring. So you put it on top of your sauerkraut, and then it pushes down.
Right. So if you don't have, you know, enough sauerkraut to maybe fill your lid, your jar all the way up, that spring kind of pushes it down in there. Yeah. And that's where we said, don't throw your core away. This was a little core, but you can also use your core to press your kraut down in there and keep it under the water, because you basically want to keep your kraut under the water at all times, because when it gets floaties, you have to open them and you have to scoop that off and get rid of it, discard that, because it will mold. All right, so you want to keep them under the water. Okay, so our cabbage has been resting for what?
About 18 minutes.
About 18 minutes. You want to give it a good 15 minutes. The easiest way for us is just get in here with your hands, and you just want to squish. You want to like mash it. You're kind of like kneading it, if you want to think of that, like you do bread. And you can squish it. If you have arthritis or anything, and that makes it difficult for you, you can take one of these. They make these little mallets, and you can take one of these mallets, any blunt object, to kind of squish it. So you're squishing and not tearing. You're just kind of squishing and crushing and kneading and pressing on your cabbage. You're releasing liquid is what your goal is here. And you'll do this for, you know, about 8 minutes or so, 8 to 10 minutes. Just put some good music on, have a conversation, and just take your time at it. There's no rush. You can see it's thing, and we're getting some juices in the bottom. You get in here with your hands. If you find some that's a little too big, break it up. Okay. After your 8 minutes is up. You'll see here we have some liquid in the bottom of our bowl, and that's what you're going for. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to take some of this, and you're going to put a handful or so down in your jar. You don't want too much because you want to tamp it down. If you don't have a mallet like this, you can just use a spoon and just do it this way. Since we have this, I'm going to go ahead and use it. And you want to get it mashed down in there. You don't want any air. That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to squash all the air out. Here, I can remove this one. Put in a little more. I'm going to squash it down. You really want to get it down in there. Okay. And as you go here, you'll see that you're creating more and more liquid. That's probably all we can get. Okay. So hopefully you can see we have got, you want to bring them closer maybe? We've got lots of juice in this. Can you see all that juice down in there? When I press on it, you see? That's because this is, as you saw, fresh from the garden. Now you want to get all the little pieces of cabbage out of the way if you have any on your rim there. And then you can either use the liquid from here, or since we have our brine, I'm just going to put a little bit on there because you want to completely submerge them. Then we're just going to use a little glass weight here. You can use whatever you have. I've heard of people using a water, a baggie with water in it to sit on top of there. You just want your cabbage to sit under the water. That's all we're going for. Left about 2 inches, and we put our little weight in there. You can't really see it. It's hiding under the brine. And then we're just going to go ahead and use one of our little silicone guys with a ring. And you want to place them on a saucer or something, just in case he decides to bubble out a little bit. You won't have a mess on your counter. And we'll just sit him over here out of the direct sunlight and leave him alone for a week.
We're going to let our sauerkraut sit on the counter for 1 week, and then after that 1 week you can taste it, and if it's to your liking you can stick it in the fridge.
Yep. And if you like it a little tangier, you can leave him sit out a little bit longer, just until he's to your liking. And that's one thing with the store-bought varieties, you don't get to determine how tangy it is. And when you make it yourself, if you don't like really tangy sauerkraut, then you can choose how tangy you allow it to get. Because when it's finished, you'll just put a lid on it. Take that fermenting lid off if you have one, and you've put it on there, and then put it right in the fridge, and it'll stop the fermentation process. But it has all the good stuff in it for your gut health. So that's the reason we don't can our sauerkraut, because we like to have all those good enzymes in there, and you will kill it when you put heat to it. So that's why we choose to do it this way. Put it in the fridge, and it'll last all year long for you till it's cabbage season again, and then you can make your fresh batch. This is all we had left from this big jar. We made this last year, and this is all we have left this year. And we just eat it fresh right out of there. Yeah. Or Isabella, she likes to snack on it, so don't you?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So, well, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. We have a little bit of cabbage left in here. It wasn't quite a gallon, so we only did our half gallon over there. We're going to go ahead and put the rest of this in this jar, and you'll probably see it in a video or something sitting on the counter. But we're going to go ahead and put the rest in this little jar and have this right away. Or you could choose to put this cabbage in a salad or make some coleslaw with it, or whatever you want to do. We've just pretty much exhausted our cabbage this year. We have a couple little baby heads still out there that we're probably just going to eat fresh. But that's about the size of it for our cabbage harvest this year, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of ready.
Out.
Yeah, kind of ready for that to be over. We love it. We absolutely do. But you know how it is. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm done working with this now.
Thanks for coming along with us while we made our sauerkraut.
Yes, we absolutely enjoy having y'all.
Yes.
So, as always, keep it simple
and fun.
Also, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss any of our fun videos. And share it with your friends.